Here are some facts. There are four major players, operators, owners, you might say, in New Providence. And you're talking here, like Zenaida said, about FML, Island Luck, Island Games, and Asu Draw, New Providence. One major operator in Grand Bahama, and about 15 to 20 smaller operators across this Commonwealth. This isn't something that only a few people are involved in. There are about 20, like I said, about 15 to 20 small operators. Operators collectively have invested more than $50 million in hardware, software, professional training, professional services, physical premises, personnel for their businesses, and the like. Collectively, these businesses employ about 3,500 persons, and that's everybody from your lawyers and accountants to IT professionals to security and surveillance personnel to customer service representatives, in-store clerks, and the like, cleaning, maintenance, and everything in between. There are over 100 web shop physical locations around this Commonwealth, and over 300 franchises of web shops around this Commonwealth, and about 200 individuals who use handheld devices to service their clients. And I'm talking here about the fellow walking around with his handheld computer, which he then feeds into a major system later on. The games may be accessed directly from web shop cafes or from any of the franchise outlets. You're talking here your hairdressers, your grocery stores, your I don't need to go too far into that. We know exactly who and where they are. Annual national insurance contributions. You're talking here about millions of dollars. Annual charitable contributions, you're talking millions of dollars. Projected taxation revenue calculated on a 20% basis could hover somewhere around 26 million for the public treasury. Industry gross bets are around $370 million with gross margins of around $104 million. Of course, bear in mind that the actual cash movement is substantially less because of what is called the recycling of winnings. In a population of approximately 350,000 persons, about 100,000 adults participate in this industry on some regular basis. That's a lot of people. Players come from across the social demographic, and so it is untrue when we are painting a picture that only poor and depressed people are the ones participating in the numbers industry. I had the opportunity to actually sit in one day. It will shock you, the people who participate in this industry, and this is not the people who are participating at home. The major players are women. The majority of the players in this industry are women. And eradication of this industry has proven a frustrating, in fact, totally impossible task for successive police administrations and government administrations since it first came to us sometime in the early 20th century. Operators of the Bahamian numbers industry have themselves expressed an interest in moving forward into the economic mainstream, into the financial services mainstream, and the list goes on and on and on. Told you a little bit about the brief history of the numbers industry. And so with that in mind, then, ladies and gentlemen, and in what I said to you about how across jurisdictions, I was at a legal seminar last week, a week ago tonight, I think it was, and one of the presentations there focused on the impossibility of eradicating this business across multiple jurisdictions, not just the Bahamas. And the most recent example that was cited was the example in Ireland, and we're talking here as late as 2010. The decision, we have been unable to deal with this industry this way. It is time now for us to, if we cannot eradicate it, then we need to regulate it. In the United States, when the numbers business became so prolific, and it came to the attention of state officials that not only was a large amount of money circulating in the underground economy, but also that the potential was there, and in many instances realized that the mob was able to get a foothold in the industry and thus deal with the whole business of an increase in crime. And the other reality, all this money circulating, the state, federal or state level, we cannot tax it, we cannot use it, we got to do something. Next step, state lotteries. Individual state lotteries, and in some instances, multiple state lotteries. And even today, many of the states have you can play any number of games within a state, or even within a state lottery. You can buy the big lottery ticket, you can buy a scratch and win ticket, you can buy the number of the day ticket in those state lotteries today. The idea being that the state has to have, or ought to have, a stake, first of all, in regulating and monitoring what is happening in any sector of recreation, but also that the state has a right to assume the taxation due from this activity. In all of, or the majority of the examples that we have studied, we have found that no state manages its own system. The management of the system is given to private management companies. The state serves as monitor and as policymaker. In all of them, the objective always is a safe and secure gaming environment for the player, fair returns on their investment for the owners, and taxation and adequate taxation from the state in all of the examples that we have been able to study. And so with all that in mind, I ask you these questions. Are we there yet? Are we ready to admit that the same protection that is given to foreigners who come here to play is due to Bahamians who live here, who invest here, whose industry this is? Are we ready to admit that the owners, the foreign owners of the gaming industry in our country, enjoy a level of legal protection, a level of social acceptance that we have denied our citizens and those who invest in this industry? Are we ready to admit that the persons who work in this industry are legitimately employed citizens who deserve the right to work in dignity, to approach financial services institutions with dignity and with pride, and not have to be ashamed of where they earn their money? Are we ready to admit that the time has come for us to grab hold